Given what we now know about the Bush torture policies, what kind of person would trivialize such an abuse of power? What kind of person would offer to go on TV and turn such a dark page in American history into a stunt? If you guessed Sean Hannity, you'd be correct. Our number one story, Hannity volunteers to be waterboarded and says he'll do it for the families of the troops. In a moment, we'll see if he is anything but a gas bag. My former MSNBC colleague Charles Grodin went head-to-head with the manatee last night. Hannity wondering aloud at one point, is it really so bad to dunk a terrorist's head in water to make him talk? But as writer Michael Wolff points out today, if Hannity is actually going to go through with this, quote, we ought to insist it be done to him 183 times, the number of times the U.S. waterboarded Khalid Sheikh Mohammed in a single month.
So you're for torture, right?
I am for enhanced interrogations. I don't believe waterboarding is torture.
But you don't believe it's torture. Have you ever been waterboarded?
No, but Ollie North has, and I talked to him about it.
And would you consent to be waterboarded so we could get the truth out of you?
Yeah, sure.
We can waterboard you?
Sure.
Or are you busy on Sunday?
I'll do it for charity. I'll let you do it.
I wouldn't do it.
I'll do it for the troops' families.
I wouldn't do it. I'll hand you a towel when you come out of the shower.
Ah, yes, another conservative talking big and living small. They're not taking this seriously, and they are talking out of their backsides. What a breakthrough it would be if, by having reality literally forced upon him, a buffoon like Hannity were to realize the deadly seriousness of this. The searing truth that the moment of torture automatically makes the presumed bad guy recipient the victim and makes the torturer into the evildoer. If Hannity could suddenly have this epiphany and involuntarily reveal it to those who somehow take him seriously, he'll do it for charity, for the troops' families. I'll take you up on that, Sean. For every second you last, $1,000. Live or on tape, provided other networks' cameras are there. $1,000 a second, Sean, because this is no game. This is serious stuff. Put your money where your mouth is and your nose. Oh, and I'll double it when you admit you feared for your life, when you admit the horrible truth. Waterboarding, the symbol of the last administration, is torture. Joining me now, MSNBC analyst, Huffington Post contributor Lawrence O'Donnell. Good evening, Lawrence.
Good to be with you, Keith.
This pretty much proves it, doesn't it? Hannity and his fellow travelers do not take this topic seriously?
No, they don't, and I know why. There's no question about it. The reason Sean Hannity thinks torture is a good idea, the reason Sean Hannity thinks it works, is because it would work on him. There are two different kinds of people out there in the world. The warriors, which are a very, very tiny minority, less than 1% of our population is ever going to face combat. And then there's the rest of us. I am, like Sean Hannity, one of those cowards, just like Dick Cheney, who has refused throughout my life to enter the military and ever subject myself to anything dangerous occupationally where I might lose a tooth. That is exactly Sean Hannity's approach to life. And he has exactly the same cowardly fear that I do of combat or submitting myself to anything of the kind of risk that the American military does. And so people who live where Sean Hannity lives, in those safe places, in the safe Cheney home where no one in the Cheney family would ever submit themselves to military service, ever submit themselves to the risk of torture, they think torture works because it would work on them, because they are soft, they are weak people compared to our military service people, and they would crack under torture. But al-Qaeda, the people who have devoted their lives to destroying their enemy, the people who are willing to die in their exercises, they were all willing to die on 9/11. Sean Hannity thinks torture is going to work on them because he has never known the kind of commitment that those people have. Nothing he's done in his life measures that kind of commitment that the American military has or that our enemies have. Our enemies are more committed than Sean Hannity will ever be.
So this actual offer that he made last night, so I guess unintentionally, I don't think he worked that out in advance with Chuck Grodin, by invoking the troops' families. What kind of message does that send to them, to the families, if he doesn't follow through on what he promised to do?
Well, you know, he owes the families already. He was a big advocate of sending those troops to Iraq and keeping them there in violation of the promise that they went there with, extending their duties beyond the promised time limit. He owes them a week's salary every year. A week's salary is very modest that he owes those families, especially the wounded the families, the people who have wounded victims from that war, the people who've lost people over there. So, you know, this is the beginning of what Sean Hannity owes those families.
How did the Republicans get to the point where torture is defended by claiming, as the latest plot line here is, that it saved us from the blowing up of the library tower in L.A. I mean, Sean Hannity repeated it last night. Liz Cheney used it on this network today, apparently believing it. And yet the timeline is not only off, it's off by 6 months. The plot was foiled 6 months before enhanced interrogation even began. Yes, they claim that the waterboarding of Khalid Sheikh Mohammed produced that information. In fact, the FBI challenges the notion that there ever was a plot, a real plot to do this. This was after 9/11. The plotters were going to have to somehow get on an aircraft and get through TSA, and sky marshals would be on the plane, and a whole plane full of people who would react the way Flight 93 did. So there wasn't really a provable plot, but whatever it occurred, and the discovery of it occurred before we started doing any torture at all. So this is one of the grand lies that they tell in this story. The whole argument from the right here, ends justify the means. We're seeing that going out now, but ignoring the facts in trying to use the ends to justify the means, and also this moral equivalency debate. Are they not trivializing the legal debate, the societal debate, the where do we stand in this country debate? Keith, they are fleeing that debate because that is the unwinnable debate. They want to stay on, we got results with it, which, by the way, they can't prove or they will lie about, and ends justify the means. That's where they want to keep it. If they get to the legal debate, they don't have any leg to stand on. They've got some memos from some legal quacks that no one is willing to support legally, and so they're running away from that legal debate. They don't want to be anywhere near it. Legal quacks. Perfect. Lawrence O'Donnell of MSNBC and Huffington Post, great thanks. And once again to Sean Hannity, $1,000 to charity for every second you last. Thanks, Lawrence. Thanks, Keith. That's Countdown to this, the 2,175th day since the previous president declared mission accomplished in Iraq. I'm Keith Olbermann. Good night and good luck.